This one here is straight out of a movie. An inmate who was arrested for an international bank robbing ring would get sentenced to 7 years and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the prison he was in. Not to mention, he had a sex tape with one of the officers that he was selling as an OnlyFans content where he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars just off of that. Well, there was an officer that didn't like that, snatched the phone. They tried to bribe him. They tried to tell him, don't turn it in. They threatened him, but he didn't listen. 4 years later, with the help of some of his own correctional officers, and even the one that made the sex tape that he got knocked off, he would be murdered, shot over 6 times in the face and in the chest. However, he had some skeletons in his closet as well. Let's get into it. Chapter 1, Elias Morgan. He wasn't your average convict. Convicted in 2017, he was part of a violent Merseyside crime syndicate responsible for armed bank robberies, high-level drug trafficking, and international smuggling. This wasn't small time. These were men who carried out hits, laundered cash, and moved weight across borders. Eventually, he'd be caught and sentenced to 7 years. When Morgan landed in the institution, his job wasn't to serve time, it was to run operations from the inside. He had nicknames the Banker, the Enforcer, and the Warden in disguise. In prison, they called his chain gang Rich. He had it all: phones, money, protection, even guards on the payroll. And at the top of the list, there was Sarah Williams, a correctional officer, a mother of 3, a woman with a badge and a secret. As it always starts as favors, access logs, shift schedules, and blind spots, it would turn into something much darker. Not only were they sleeping together in the facility, not only did they film it more than once, the sex tapes were stored on Morgan's prison phone, the same ones used to coordinate drug deals, route crypto payments, and issue threats, as well as make a OnlyFans where they'd get hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was said that they clocked in $247,000 for these OnlyFans videos. She became his inside firewall, protecting him from transfers, lockdowns, and investigations, all in exchange for power, sex, and a piece of the pie. Yet, in every prison you go to, they have that Captain America, the officer that wouldn't break, who usually has more skeletons in his closet than any inmate in the institution. He goes by Lenny Scott, a former RAF logistics specialist turned corrections officer, clean-cut, military mindset. Appearances can always be deceiving. Clean men don't last long in prison. It's clear from the beginning, Officer Scott did not like Morgan. He didn't like the power he had, did not like the way the other officers bent to his will. So on March 26, 2020, Scott made a move that would write his death warrant. Somebody told, and he caught Morgan slipping. He would catch him with the phone, with all the intel on it. The sex tape, the drug routes, the crooked officers, the cryptocurrency, so on and so on. Yet Morgan stayed calm, and he offered him $1,500 to make it disappear. When Officer Scott declined, he made it personal. He said, "Don't be stupid. We know where your family lives." Officer Scott turned it in anyway. No hesitation, no backup. He didn't realize what was really on that phone. It's really a butterfly effect here. The phone turned a ripple into a tsunami. When the phone was analyzed, everything unraveled. The sex tapes, internal messages, threads implicating Sarah Williams, routing maps of officer schedules, hundreds of encrypted crypto payments. Sarah was suspended, then later convicted of misconduct. Morgan was segregated and moved. Other officers were quietly shuffled, reprimanded, or cut off. But Scott, he didn't get a medal. He got threats, isolation, and eventually was fired in 2021 for punching an inmate in the face. It will be said that it was retaliation. Others say the walls finally got to him. What came out in the investigation was some of Morgan's people that were still in that prison were throwing piss, urine, shit on him every day. And Scott, he turned the phone in and he wouldn't budge, but he also was bringing contraband in for other inmates prior to all this shit going down. He decided when his friend went home, he didn't want to do it anymore. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Can't live like that, sir. Wasn't clean, he was bitter, Violent, disgraced, but worst of all, unprotected. See, he got in way too deep. When he was helping his friend out prior to all this, it was a little tobacco here, cell phone there. His friend went home. Now he wants to be super cop. Not knowing that that phone he took wasn't just a little dirty secret, something to reach the outside world with. It was a hustle. The clips of the sex tapes were monetized through anonymous uploads, fed into encrypted platforms, even tied to OnlyFans-style channels run through third parties. Morgan was stacking cash on the outside, using Sarah's access to launder and reroute profits back into the organization. 4 years later, vengeance would come, as time doesn't exist, only opportunity. October 2022, Elise Morgan is released. He walks out a free man, but no one forgot what happened in 2020. The phone that cost his organization hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would expose all their corrupt officers that they kept in their pockets like nickels and dimes. Brought the entire prison pipeline under scrutiny. Morgan didn't need to be told what to do. He knew, but they didn't rush him. They waited 4 long years. He made his way to Spain in June of 2023 with his co-defendant Anthony Clearly. While in Spain, using fake passports and laundered crypto, they were there for one thing: guns. Yet, in January 2024, they were ready to move. They returned to the UK, and for the next 33 days, they did recon. They tracked Scott's gym routines, Peel House, Mecca Gym, his home with his family in Prescott. But it wasn't just the two of them. Corrupt officers from the past, even the woman from the sex tape still in contact, helped drop locations. Some wanted Scott gone more than Morgan did. Far from an ambush, it was a funeral planned to the minute. The day he grabbed that phone was the day he died. The execution, February 8th, 2024 at 7:34 p.m. Exactly 4 years to the day after the phone was seized, Scott exited his Peel House gym. A masked figure in his high-vis work gear stepped from the shadows. 6 rounds, 2 to the chest, 4 to the head. Clean getaway, a van waiting, an e-bike prep, no suspects. They nearly pulled it off. Oh, but the irony. The technology that got this man killed was the same technology that brought them down again. They did get the burner phone, yet they left it on the scene. And that phone's GPS and usage records matched Morgan's travel, Clearly's vehicle, bike drop-offs, and recon spots. It was the same type of model phone that they originally had snuck into prison, a basic burner phone. The same device, the same flaw, just 4 years later. Eventually, both men were arrested, charged with premeditated murder and conspiracy. They pled not guilty in court, but the evidence is stacked. The motive etched in every frame of footage, every transaction, every location drop, and most of all, the bitter, corrupted chain of officers that ratted on them. But what did they expect? Their law enforcement, corrupt at that. They're snitches that are corrupt snitches. How can y'all trust them? Finding some of their safe houses in Spain, they found multiple more sex tapes with that officer. Grenades, Molotov cocktails, M16s, M4s, Desert Eagles. Now they're on trial for killing the dad of 3, Lenny Scott. Obviously, it's more than it appears, than just a revenge plot over a cell phone. Rest in peace to this man, and I'm sorry to his family. But for him to get fired for beating the shit out of an inmate shortly after, it shows a deeper connection. For his own staff and other officers to want to get him hit, shows he was involved deeper than anybody will ever know. Or maybe we will when trial unfolds. But to think, it all started. A mom of 3 wanted to make some extra money, put herself out there, fell in love with the money, the power, the lifestyle. However, people forget what comes with that lifestyle: death, betrayal, destruction, and hell. Like they say, hell is truth, but it's always seen too late. Hindsight's always 20/20, because it's never the power that corrupts, it's the fear. The fear of losing power corrupts those that wield it. It's a very dirty game on the inside. A cell phone that you think's gonna get you promoted, get you killed. And the guy that puts the work in that kills you, that thinks it's gonna get him promoted, gets him a death sentence. Stay out, stay free.